I think this notion of borders, including border lines and other things like that, can be a very interesting and useful concept to a critical concept that we can look at, especially when it comes to different groups who are interacting and have been interacting for quite a number of years, over 500 years. So we have to consider that they certainly have developed and continue to develop how to combine and work together in terms of lines of authority, tradition, etc. And really, who's in charge of what for each group? So I think we're still within that kind of discussion. So I often use the term liminality, an anthropological concept that describes that. And it really is about rites of passage in many ways. And that's, I think, what we're seeing today with our young people that are coming from our First Nations communities, the Métis communities, and other communities that identify as Aboriginal. Certainly there's a lot of fluidity in that identity. I think our young people now are at a point where we are at a critical mass, and they are going to be the ones, the grassroots are going to be the ones who will create those new opportunities, those new rituals. And it's very exciting to see that we can continue to build on those traditions and ceremonies that are still here. If you look at really the notion of treaties, are still living documents in that sense. They've always been living documents. And what is most important about those is not so much the letter, the black and white or the legal sort of text, but what's not mentioned. And that's what I think is so important about this notion of liminality, this notion of borders and borderlines. You can also see another notion of borders. So when it comes to US and Canada relations, you look, for example, at Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan and Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. Those are communities where they have relationships on both sides of the borders, families who are connected by kinship. But when you look at the different policies, you can really see the impact that policies have to play within a colonial framework. On the US side, for example, they seem to be doing very well under this quasi notion of sovereignty that has been negotiated and allowed also by the US government for those so-called tribes. So the US Sault Ste. Marie, they've been able to develop their communities. When you look at Ontario, on the other hand, you still see the colonial reserve, and they are still somewhat mired and stuck in those policies. So I think the University of Windsor and other institutions like this can play a critical role in understanding how we can continue on with that notion of developing authority and tradition. And certainly I think the young people on campus will be able to do that in the future.